It's not anybody's business of what's going on in the most inner sanctum of our house. It had been so long since I felt good.
You had to have been pretending a little.
We got to be careful with pretending. We never thought that we would make it back. And let me tell you, it's been beautiful.
And you got to smile and you got to pretend like that's okay.
It's been beautiful. I'm the chooser.
You're the chooser.
Right.
How does Jada portray herself in a favorable light? And how does she continue to belittle Will? These are the questions that this language analysis will answer by looking at new, revealing interviews. When we look at Jada's verbal and nonverbal behavior, she's consistently trying to make herself look good at the expense of Will. In this video, I'll be as straightforward as possible about what I think this exposes about Jada's personality and mindset. I think Jada's interviews give us insights into what we should watch out for in our own conversations. What do you think about the clips we're about to see? Let us know in the comments. Let's go for it. My main focus is Jada's interview with Hoda and Jenna. However, I'd like to begin with another interview, one that speaks volumes about Jada's self-perception.
We gotta talk Oscars, all right? And you were kind of surprised that he invited you to go to the Oscars.
Yeah.
Jada wrote about this in her book. Why? Because she's faced so much backlash that she seems to think that distancing herself even further from Will make people like her again, even though the opposite appears to be the case. Who could have known? Notice how she depicts Will.
We were, at that particular point in time, we were in therapeutic spaces because he had just finished the movie where he played a slave. And
she doesn't give us the name of the movie or character that Will played. With this, she gives an unflattering, impersonal description of the role he played. Jada likes the word space, whether it's healing space.
We are in a place now that we are in a deep healing space.
A therapeutic space.
we were, at that particular point in time, we were in therapeutic spaces.
Anything to make what she does sound deeper than it is. I'll get back to that.
A lot of stuff came up for him. And so he was like, you know, will you get back into therapy with me? And I said, absolutely.
The perspective's interesting. A lot of stuff came up for him. Jada doesn't include herself, as she goes on to make sure that he asked her. This perspective allows Jada to come across as a helper, as the one who was overbearing enough to continue therapy.
And we started doing some really, really deep work. And then he got nominated, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like, you know what, there's nobody I would rather share this moment with. Will you share this moment with me? So I said, yeah. But it wasn't a guarantee, I didn't.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't a guarantee, but I was happy because I was like, of course I want to share that moment with you. So we decided to go together.
This is a pattern in Jada's language, always emphasizing how deep and even authentic that everything she's involved in is.
This whole journey, as difficult as it's been, has just brought Will and I closer in such an authentic way. But
never actually making the case why it's deep and authentic. I wonder why. The descriptions remain superficial. This passage is how we can be sure that Jada is doing damage control, and this damage control consists of distancing herself even further from Will. She makes sure to emphasize that Will asked her, making herself look more or less exceptional in the process.
But there's nobody I would rather share this moment with.
And that she was happy to accommodate his request. Jada has self-serving motives for saying that she only went to the Oscars because Will asked her. Because in theory, this takes the focus off of the role that she played in Will's reaction. And speaking of Will's reaction, for a husband who's supposedly okay with this kind of marriage.
There were different stages in my marriage where Will and I decided we were not together. Just open dialogue. That is why Will and I are still, today, married.
He sure had a strong reaction that night.
Wow, dude. Yeah. People disrespecting you. And you gotta smile and you gotta pretend like that's okay.
Will's real reaction goes to show that all the fancy modern platitudes about open dialogue are overcompensation when both parties know that their self-centered and hedonistic definition of marriage actually isn't good at all. If Will was so okay with it, why did he say this in the Red Table Talk?
I don't want to go through this no more.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Yeah.
Yes, it totally sounds like this fake marriage is ideal for him. The distancing damage control continues at all costs.
When I saw him get up, I was like, oh, did he and Chris decide to do this bit together?
Yes, because it's totally conceivable that Will wouldn't have told Jada before going, and that the bit would be about Jada's appearance. Jada is obviously aware of how this sounds, because right after the host says that it wouldn't be a good bit, she parrots him by making a modification.
A bit, because I've seen Will.
It wasn't a great bit. It wasn't really a great bit.
Right. And I was like, oh, this is a bit. This is a strange bit, but okay.
Right.
Yes, and definitely the kind of bit that the Oscar committee would have agreed to showing to all the families out there across the world. With this modification, Jada is stating the obvious, that her belief that this was a bit was either very weak or non-existent.
This is a strange bit, but okay.
Right.
Let's see how Jada continues this thinly veiled damage control and self-aggrandizement in her interview with Today. Brace yourself.
And you know, it was so strange because, you know, at the end of your special, I said, now I was saying it funny, Will's getting old. Somebody needs to take care of him. And I thought people would get like,
that's going to be you.
Yeah, I said, that's going to be me. I'm going to take care of him. It was in the special.
Will is 55 and Jada's 52. Not the big difference there, Jada. But of course, Jada will never get old. On a surface level, this can look like an innocuous joke. However, with all the other things she said about and to Will, it's another joke or whatever at his expense.
With August, what do you feel like you were looking for?
I just wanted to feel good. It had been so long since I felt good.
Also, the fact that nobody got her joke tells us everything we need to know about it. That there's more to it than that.
And you're a straight talker, no question.
Right.
So I think the confusion came from
we were broken up.
We were broken up, and then I think the next statement they would expect is, but not anymore.
Yeah, we're back together.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
I've never heard a joke that needed so much explaining. This is the kind of stuff that true humor is made of. Also, the last thing Jada is a
straight talker.
Her word choice is so contrived and self-serving that it makes Meghan Markle's word choice sound authentic and organic in comparison.
But for me, there was so much more that I wanted to share, and I really do have an organic and deep love of travel and of food and also of writing.
But Hoda obviously knows how to flatter Jada, and Jada is happy to receive the flattery, even though what Hoda is actually telling Jada is that people would have expected her to say more about her relationship with Will. Appealing to what people think sounds an awful lot like Hoda's indirect way of saying what she thinks. Next, we get a truly touching moment.
If you were to describe your relationship.
Beautiful place. Yeah. I will never leave Will's side.
Never.
Ever. Never. And that's all, you know what I mean? I'll never leave his side.
I don't know what's more beautiful, that Jada won't leave Will's side, or all the deep healing they've been through. I can't decide. Let's play it again with music.
If you were to describe your relationship.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
I will never leave Will's side.
Never.
Ever. And that's all, you know what I mean? I'll never leave his side.
With this performance, it looks like it's Jada's turn to be nominated. And then maybe she can do a skit with Chris Rock without Will knowing.
And I just want to love Will as he is, right? I don't want to put him in any boxes.
With right, she's asking, not stating, insinuating that she's more interested in Hoda and Jenna's validation than making heartfelt statements.
And
With the adverb just, she's comparing her thought to another thought. Like when someone says we're just friends, they're comparing being friends to the opposite of being friends. It would be interesting to know what the other thought is, because considering how she's made it very clear that Will wasn't enough for her.
It had been so long since I felt good.
It's more than doubtful that she just wants to love him now.
And I just want to love Will.
Who is Jada capable of loving is the real question.
And let me tell you, it's been beautiful. It's been beautiful.
What?
Yes, because when things are actually beautiful, you truly need to repeat it and even preface it with overly convincing language like.
And let me tell you,
it doesn't sound overcompensating at all. But then again, Jada's always been a straight talker.
And you're a straight talker, no question.
Right.
So I think...
And next we see just how empty Jada's jargon is, as she can't even substantiate the words she's been repeating ad nauseum.
It's been beautiful.
What does that beauty look like for you day in and day out? So are y'all living together?
It's just this beautiful connection.
Jada visibly dislikes this question. Again, the adverb just oversimplifies her explanation, or lack thereof, and points to the existence of another thought, likely the opposite thought, that either this connection isn't beautiful, or what she said doesn't even make sense to her.
We will.
Look at that.
Not right now.
But you will.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's.
Why do you say that with such
clarity?
I think I know the answer to that one. She says it with such clarity because she didn't know how else to get out of the situation. Let's watch it again.
So are y'all living together?
It's just this beautiful connection. We will.
Look at that.
Not right now.
But you will.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, people who use the most positive platitudes and cliches are the ones least likely to be able to substantiate their pretend positivity. Many people unfortunately buy into it because they prefer an idealistic view of reality over a realistic one, and disingenuous celebrities like Jada can give them that.
Why do you say that with such
clarity?
Because that's what it's going to be.
That's where it's headed.
Yeah.
The many specific details add to the true reliability of this answer. And in the very next moment, she reveals what really matters to her.
You know, but right now I really do enjoy my space.
Yeah.
You know, I've been living
alone.
I am my mother's only child.
Yeah.
Right?
This is the reason she gives for wanting her own space. That word space again. Something that's so long ago. Really? Well, I guess that's how it is when you're a straight talker. What does being an only child have to do with anything? Nothing, of course. It's another desperate attempt to appeal to pity. Something which Jada is so eerily good at that it suggests she's been doing it throughout her entire life.
You know, but right now
With the conjunction but, she minimizes or completely negates a talk about her and Will getting back together, and thus negates the beauty she spent 2 minutes talking about. I can't wait to find out more about Jada's self-realization. I'm sure it'll be as authentic as when she thought Chris and Will were doing a skit.
And so having this time that I've had to myself has been fantastic. Just to get to know me, you know.
Jada's constant use of the expression "you know," which appeals to alleged shared knowledge between two speakers or more, underlines how much more important it is to her to persuade than substantiate her statements. And of course, she didn't know herself before all of this. It reminds me of the Red Table talk years ago, where she used the same line of reasoning to justify her affair with a friend of the family.
I was in a lot of pain and I was very broken. Now, in the process of that relationship, I definitely realized that you can't find happiness outside of yourself.
As if she needed an affair to find out about this. Again, she's constantly making simple, physical things sound like big revelations. When it comes to detecting deception, euphemizing language is a major area in statement analysis, as it almost always has a self-protective and thus self-serving function.
You're the chooser.
I'm the chooser.
You're the chooser.
Right.
Such an empowering moment.
When you imagine your life back together, because I'm sure you've seen it, how does that look to you?
We don't know yet.
You'll build that.
We'll build that. And it'll be something new.
Something can...
It's interesting to see the differences in Jada's reactions. The moment she's asked to substantiate her pompous language, she changes demeanor.
You're the chooser.
Right. And it'll be something new.
Something can...
A straight talker.
And you're a straight talker, no question.
Right.
So I think...
Really? Because this is as evasive as when a politician is asked to substantiate their nice-sounding claims and promises.
One of the things that I learned about you is that you love radical honesty.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, for the last, since 2016, you had to have been pretending a little, right?
Hoda and Jenna use a specific question tactic. They start with praise in order to mitigate the criticism they bring up. This can make it look like the praise is just a way for them to get to what they really want to talk about, in which case the praise resembles flattery, which is different from praise.
You love radical honesty.
Yeah.
You had to have been pretending a little, right?
Jada liked the radical honesty part, but not so much the pretending part. I wonder why.
Well, I wouldn't say we got to be careful with pretending.
Okay.
Right? Because Will and I love each other.
Right.
Right? And so all the love that you guys have
Was
seen.
real.
That's real.
Right.
There's no pretending.
No, of course there's no pretending. I mean, it's not like they literally chose to do the red table talk when no one forced them to.
We never, ever, ever thought that we would make it back.
Yeah, 25 years and counting.
We ride together.
We die together. You thought I was that I didn't have the girth that it was going to take to ride with you through.
Yeah.
It's interesting to note that years ago they talked about the healing process as a completed event, yet today they're talking about it as an ongoing process.
We never, ever, ever thought that we would make it back.
Yeah.
We are in a place now that we are in a deep healing space.
That's pretending. That's giving people a false impression of their relationship. So no, the kind of love they let people see wasn't real.
All the love that you guys have
Was
seen.
real.
That's real.
Right.
When asked about the facts that she went on talk shows and was asked about her love life, Jada says this.
Well, here's the thing about that. That's not anybody's business.
Yeah. So did you want to
She says after making intimate details of their relationship public. In the following, Jada talks about her love life and what she expects from Will.
Thing that Will and I talk about a lot is the journey. I mean, we started in this at a very young age, 22 years old. I think you expect your partner to know. It's like, well, if you love me, you should know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you love me,
You should be able to read
you
my
should
mind.
read my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a huge pitfall.
That's a huge pitfall.
Yeah, it is.
Jada's answers are more inconsistent than the plot lines in the room.
They betrayed me, they didn't keep their promise, they tricked me and I don't care anymore. I did not. Oh, hi Mark.
Also, it's worth noting how she keeps asking rather than stating.
So did you want to
She's focused on persuasion and validation, not on giving honest and specific answers.
Here we are, solid as a rock, and people still confused.
Yes, everything's so solid. That must be why she couldn't explain what's beautiful about their relationship.
What does that beauty look like for you day in and day out? So are y'all living together?
It's just this beautiful connection.
When people talk long enough, they always tell on themselves. Maybe that's the tactic Hoda and Jenna use, because it sure isn't to ask unmitigated, tough questions.
To go without any relations for 6 years is an awful long time. So I would imagine that both of you at some point had other, maybe not loves, but other partners or relationships.
Listen, I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
But, I had one situation and that was it.
I guess that's why she spent her interview with people, hammering the point about seeing other people.
And you think there is not going to be straying eyes. That didn't seem realistic at all. There were different stages in my marriage where Will and I decided we were not together.
Jada talks about different stages, plural, when we couple this with her assertive imperative, listen,
I can.
and how fast she wants to move on. It all indicates that there were likely other situations, which is the euphemism she uses.
I've been really working on myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Actually, I don't know what she means. It sounds awfully unoriginal and contrived. A question like this exposes that this is about persuasion and validation, not truth.
I really needed to take the time to figure out me, and that's the problem.
Yes, that is the problem, because a phrase like figuring out me is empty jargon and doesn't lead anywhere, and Jada knows it.
I really have been diving into me.
And that's what this book is all about. It's this really beautiful self-exploration.
We recognize the pattern. This is the initial and unreliable praise part. Next, we get the criticism.
And one of the things I've learned about your fans is they're fierce, man. I mean, some of them feel betrayed.
Right.
Have you do you see that? Do you get that?
With someone like Jada, who's visibly flattered by every compliment she receives, mitigating criticism can be a good tactic, at least initially, because where they fail is that they don't keep asking when they get an evasive or insincere answer. Thus, Jada wins these question rounds 10 times out of 10.
They can feel betrayed.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because life is messy.
Life is messy, not the decisions that she's made. Avoiding accountability comes in all shapes and sizes. Also, her intonation doesn't exactly give the impression that she's okay with it. And next, we predictably get Jada's linguistic self-defense.
And unfortunately, it's not anybody's business of what's going on in the most inner sanctum of our house.
After she's voluntarily given these details in other conversations, answers don't get any more deceptive than this. But actually, we didn't need the contradiction to know that it was deceptive. The deception was foreshadowed by Jada's pompous word choice.
Inner sanctum of our house.
As I stated in the intro, I think this case is interesting because it teaches us what to watch out for when talking to people like Jada. Thus, this is about more than just Jada and Will's relationship. What do you think about the clips we've seen? Let us know in the comments. If you liked the video, you can help the channel very much by clicking the like button. See you next time.